Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living, with me, Mark Candelaria. I am an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I am the founder and now partner of a fabulous 20-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country. We have hosted tours over the last 20 years to Italy, Spain, and soon Napa. And in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. We are excited to now be in our second season, and our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture to all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. So sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Welcome, everyone, to our podcast, Inspiring Living. First off, I would like to wish everyone a very happy and joyous Easter. We will be making Ina Garten's 4-hour roasted lamb on the Traeger this afternoon, served over a bed of star anise beans and veggies. So we're looking forward to getting that up on the grill. And as opposed to last year, where it was just dinner for two with Isabel and I, only as we were in the first few weeks of the total lockdown, this year we'll have a few friends over to enjoy this joyous day, and we're looking so forward to cherishing every moment. Okay, we have a fantastic podcast for you today, and Easter could not be more perfect for this guest. Today we have beloved chef and personality Chris Bianco from Pizzeria Bianco, Panne Bianco and Tratto. Some of my favorites for sure. Definitely one of my all-time fave personalities, and he will share his story from his youth in the Bronx to the early days of his restaurants here in Phoenix to his journey to celebrity chef status. He is truly an amazing chef, and in my book, he is remarkable, a culinary artist, a creator, and a thinker. So enjoy Chef Chris Bianco. Here we go. Our guest today is one of my all-time favorite chefs, Chris Bianco. We're right here in his restaurant. I got the background noise of the restaurant.
I love it. The real deal.
We're right here at you're the chef of Pizzeria Bianco, Tratto, Panne Bianco, and what have I missed? There's others too, right?
That's it. That's enough.
That's enough. Okay.
Well, no, I have other chefs too, but they do all the hard work.
Yeah, I know how that one works. Trust me. And we're here on your 20th Street Town and Country location, which has always been one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I've had some amazing meals in this room. So what an honor, man. I really appreciate you doing this podcast.
Well, I'm grateful to, one thing we never get to do is talk enough.
That's right, isn't it? True?
We have had a lot of time to think this last year.
Yeah.
About things that matter and people that matter, and, things we make time for. And, normally, I don't get that much time to sit down but I think you make time for things that matter, and I've always respected you as not only as a person, but a great architect and builder and Italian visionary. So the least I could do is share some time.
I appreciate it, my friend. I appreciate it for sure. Yeah, like I said, I've had some amazing experiences in this room. We come here every New Year's. This last year, we were down on your place in Van Buren, which is fantastic, by the way.
I'm glad you did.
Encourage people to get down there and check that out.
That was an unexpected, happy accident.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's one of our favorite dinners of the year. We look forward to that New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
You put the whole menu together. You pair the wines. It's awesome. Okay, so seriously, you are an amazing chef in my book, and I know a few of you guys here in town. Mark Tarbell and Christopher's got his new gig going, and I'm good friends with all of you guys, but you're definitely one of my favorites for many, many reasons.
I'm grateful.
And so tell us about your operation and all your venues. Tell us just a quick snippet of all of them.
Oh, my quick snippet. Well, we have I have my original pizzeria, downtown.
Yep.
And
that's still going strong.
That's still going strong, knock on wood.
Yep.
We have Panne Bianco on Central.
Yep, been there.
Little bakery sandwich shop. We have Tratto on Van Buren. I have amazing chef Cassie Shortino there.
Yep.
And our team, which is fantastic. And then here we are at Italian Country. And I have an amazing team here. And we just, you're sitting in the old, the artist formerly known as Tratto.
Yep.
Old space, which is a tiny little space. And longer story, we had to move it. But we've turned it into a little kind of bar lounge for the pizzeria.
Yeah.
I installed an old school deck oven, and we'll be adding Wednesday, and maybe by the time you hear this, the old school 18-inch pizzas that we kind of
Oh yeah.
I grew up with. So a little bit of kind of prequel to the sequel of life here.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I love this location, as you know, because it's so close to my house. So this is easy.
A special place. It's nostalgic for me.
Yep. So how did you first get into this? Where were you born?
I was born in the Bronx, New York.
Okay.
And when I was in kindergarten, we moved to a little town up the Hudson River called Ossining, New York.
Okay. You're my second Bronx-born interview in the last week. I was talking to Walter Spitz. You probably know Wally.
I do, yeah. But it was a little town on the Hudson River, and lots of immigrants and dreamers and people that had big dreams and wanted to make things better than they found them. And I never imagined being anywhere else in New York. Until I was about 18, I got the itch. I think just to go anywhere and see anything. And
so, when did your itch for cooking come about? Because I know you talked about in your book, your grandmother, your mom.
Yeah, I think any Italian American kid, it's omnipresent. It's not really
just part of your life.
It's not really
culture.
Food is separate from breathing,
right?
Or like lunch is the only subject in school I look forward to. I shouldn't say that, my kids hear that, but the Italian kids always had the greasiest sandwiches, like peppers and eggs. Be kind of going through the brown paper bag at lunch. And,
just seeping.
And but I think it was mostly my grandmother, my great aunt that we lived with in the Bronx when I was a little kid. My Aunt Margie was a fantastic cook. My mother's now at 82, she's still a fantastic cook.
Yep, my mom too. Same thing.
And I think those things, having kids now, I always wonder about what I can teach them and share with them, and I realize it's not that important. It's important for them to feel loved, and important to subject them to things that they don't even know that they're. They don't have to say they like it now, or it's
like that brown. It's like that brown paper bag. It just soak it up.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
And there was little things that made food special for me personally, which was I think all of us look for a place to be relevant or accepted. And I watched my aunts or my mom. There was always when they brought out the Sunday pasta or the Thanksgiving turkey. Everybody was happy to see them.
Yep.
And there was
didn't matter what they'd done that whole year.
Yeah,
at that moment they were the rock stars.
It was, and I think most chefs, if we're drunk enough, will tell you, how insecure we are. And I think a lot of us, me anyway, I'd say, and I think we look for things that give you a sense of place or purpose.
Yep. It's the same for architects. Let me tell you, buddy.
Yeah.
You just get it. You get your appreciation a lot quicker. That's what I say.
Yeah, well, I was always jealous of my dad. My dad can hang a portrait, a painting on the wall, and it's done. But we, for us, our paintings are like snowflakes. They're melting. They're dying.
It's amazing.
And we live with, the memory of it.
And,
and sometimes, those fleeting moments, we try to. Not only for us to hang on to them, to continue to hopefully pay them forward for generations to come, but later I had when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I got asthma pretty bad, and it kept me home a lot, and it got me stuck home a lot. And when my mom was, going back forth to work, she left me with a lot of little tasks. I put this in at 3 o'clock or defrost that and whatever, and I liked it. I liked if I was stuck at home, I watched like Julia Child or used to be an old show called The Galloping Gourmet.
I watched both of those when I was a kid,
and
because my mom would watch them.
Yeah, and we only had we had 3 things to read in my house. It was the National Geographic, which never really opened up too much. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica, which I opened one time when we were looking for a dog. I remember that. I researched. It it was obviously pre-Google. So I remember looking for a golden retriever, um, and anyway, and the last one was Gourmet Magazine, which we always had.
Yep.
And every month it was like a gift, of season. You'd see what what each month looked like, and
Yeah.
and years later when I still collect some of the old ones, and they bring back a lot of memories. Like whether I can or not, it seems like you can remember when that one.
Yeah. So
came out,
I think that happens with a Pinterest post, does it?
No, it's a little different.
I mean, now you get bombarded with 4,000
yeah,
recipes
we had not
a
much
day.
to think about. There was one radio station you listened to, and there was a weather guy, and or a weather woman or whatever. There was people brought you the news.
You had time to absorb things, just like that paper bag again.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? I mean, when you think about that, I don't know how our kids absorb all this stuff. I mean, we had time.
Who the hell knows if they do? Who knows? I don't know. I won't give them too much credit.
That's crazy, isn't it?
They're cute, but we'll see. The jury's out on
Yeah, exactly. So how did you first pay your dues in this business? How did you get your first start?
My first start, let's see. My first job was at a place called Aldo's Pizza in Austin, New York. I was 13. I was working after school. And to me, it felt pretty glamorous, to be honest with you. It was, it was something that, like, there wasn't a lot of places. It wasn't like Home Depot and things in the neighborhood. But we had the pizzerias. We had a couple of them, more than a couple, and that was a place that other kids could come in and see you working, which was you
had a job. You're making some money.
And not very much, but I was there a few years, and it was got me into even though my job was like shredding mozzarella and carrying flour to the pizza man to make dough.
Yep.
It helped me see another side of something that was really community oriented. Like after a Little League game, people wanted a pizza Friday night.
Right.
During Lent, whatever, there was certain things where pizza was, it served at that time a different purpose.
Right.
There wasn't about even how great it was or not. It was just that you had your place that you went with on a certain day or night and
shared that experience.
It was for the experience,
Yep.
And now.
So those are some of your first pizzas. Were right there.
Yeah, and then and then later on, working in different restaurants where I wanted to be a different type of chef. Who knows? Maybe be on a boat and travel or whatever. I don't know what the hell I wanted then. The more I worked in a couple of hotels in the summers, and wasn't a big fan. I like staying in them, but doing banquets like 500 wasn't really for me.
It's a factory.
Like, turning carrots out for a week later, and I love hotels, and I love people that work in hotels. Just for me, I think you got to know what works for you.
Right.
And I kind of as time went on, when I was like I say, let's push it to 1985. I wanted to leave New York. I got to know where I wanted to go, but I didn't really see a future for myself.
Yep.
Unless somebody died, you're not going to get a house, usually.
So before 85, had you ever been to Italy? Had you traveled?
I've been to Italy. I didn't travel anywhere else. We've been to Italy. Not a lot. We've been 3 times.
Okay.
Like 13, 17, and then I was 19.
Yeah, okay.
Or 16 and then 19. But, and that was those are monumental.
Right.
Life-changing.
Yeah.
Because
just change your whole perspective.
The first thing I ever wrote in a book, there was a book called How I Learned to Cook, and it was New York Times writer Peter Yan wrote the book, and he asked me to write a chapter about how I learned to cook, and all I could think of was the advice I give young kids, chefs today is like, take all your money and go eat. And
just learn.
And like, it's like if you want to, it's hard to draw a home or a structure without really seeing it and witnessing
it. Experiencing it.
It's mass.
Yeah, you got to experience it.
And for me, going to Italy when we were 13, it was my first time anywhere other than Connecticut to see my mother's.
That's kind of like Italy.
Kind of like Italy in a way. Or New Jersey.
Yeah, there you go. That's probably more like Italy.
And which both seemed far away at the time.
Yep.
in California was like only on I Love Lucy we saw California when they moved. That was far away. But going to Italy was we saw I had a great aunt that lived in Rome that passed away recently actually. And her and my cousin Giorgio, she was actually an opera singer that was now a voice coach in Rome. But when I was there, she was probably in her I don't know 60s then or something like that. But and I met them only once before when they came to visit, but going there was like you knew them forever, but they were also like from a different planet.
Yeah.
Like they dressed differently, their shoes were different, the food was different.
Yep.
You know, there was no. I remember I didn't drink coffee then, but I remember there was a great espresso bar downstairs, and they also had gelato. And I remember noticing like there was no lemon on the espresso. And I was like, what the hell kind of, I mean, I know in New York, you know, real espresso, you get like a demi-tasse, you get a little curl of lemon.
Yep.
And then you learn like the history of that, like being a real New York thing, how Italians are when they can't get their bitterness, you know, at the turn of the century when, you know, they would run a little lemon around to get it. And it wasn't Italian, it was more of an immigrant's innovation.
Yeah, there's so much to all of it, to every dish.
And it was just overwhelming. And it was, you know, I remember, anyway, the reason I was telling that story, what I wrote about was there was a story specifically that there was two parts. There was one was we were at a little trattoria in Rome, in Trastevere, and I remember it was summer and it was hot, and there was about 6 or 7 of us all there, and there was a lot of noise, and you know I didn't understand too much Italian then, but I could order pasta for sure. and I don't even remember what I ate except that it seemed strange. But what I do remember, which to this day might have been the like a light and bold experience for me, was there was at the end of the meal, there was the waiter brought around a bowl like in a cart, like an old kind of pewter, like hotel style bowl, like dinged up and, you know, just kind of sweated from the ice that's in it. And in the bowl was peaches and cherries.
Oh, nice.
And he, you know, my aunt said, you know, bring some food for the table. And I remember the waiter, like took this with a fork and a knife and dropped this peach and sliced the end off the peach and just flipped it over and left the knife for me. And it was like I couldn't believe they could just serve a peach that was rinsed off. And but it was not only the perfect temperature that it was like still warm from the sun in the middle. It felt, but chill from the outside, and it felt, you know, that, you know, the way it was sliced. It was a super sharp knife, and so like you know, something that was just glistened, so it didn't even make an imprint in the peach, you know, and it was so ripe, and just everything about it was a lesson of restraints, and you know, like when things are perfect, man can only fuck them up. You know?
Now, see, that's why I tell people with cooking and architecture, it's so similar. We talk about restraint all the time. It's like you need to know when to stop. People go too far; they add too much, and you lose it.
Well, you know, I'm going to switch back to another story about architects. I have a theory about architects.
Now, I got to hear this.
And Rick Joy is a buddy of mine, architect in Tucson. I told him this story.
Very good.
Well, one of these days I'm going to do this. I'm going to write a book with 12, only 12 chapters, but each one will be an favorite architect from around the world. You'll be one. And my theory is any great architect, and only great architects, can make great sandwiches. Bad architects, I don't think, can make a great architect. Because the great architects and great chefs, I think, not self-serving ones or want to make things that are about them or build houses about them, they ask the right questions. You know, they want to know what you like, what you want to eat. And then you gain their trust.
Right.
Then you gain their trust. Then you don't have to ask them more questions. When you go someplace for years and they know what you like, and that's a beautiful, you know, earned and timeless and, you know, wonderful thing when you can you submit, you know, and but to get there, to get there, you have to have the right question. Like holistic medicine versus allopathic medicine.
Yeah.
Both have their place, but it's important
Yeah.
to know, like, why you can't sleep and what you ate and what you're dreaming of and what your stress is and all those things, to fix yourself.
Yep.
So my theory is that, to build a great sandwich in particular, you need to understand foundation
Right.
and mass and insulation and scale
The
and
proportion.
and this juicy
It's the same
tomato would be
things.
great, but I better put aioli to waterproof the bread so it doesn't get too soggy, or
Yeah.
it's too big for my mouth, it's too tall, like the building that's too tall, it's
Yep,
going to
out of
tumble.
scale.
So I think I'm a big, like I said, a huge fan of architecture and design to the extent of its totality, its utility,
Right.
as much as its
Well, part of it's ingredients.
yeah,
The
like when you look at
ingredients.
Pompeii and you see, oh my God, it's been there, that oven
It's
that's
amazing.
been there forever, and survived this and
Yep.
this, or anything that is stands the test of time.
Absolutely. Yep.
And we understand why. Even
So-
if it's just a memory.
How did you end up out here?
I ended up out here because, first of all, I didn't know anybody, and I wanted to go somewhere like that. It was a venture,
Yep.
I guess, maybe. I had a buddy of mine that moved to California and got a job in Laguna Beach. I'll never forget it. Universal Gyms delivering equipment, and me and another buddy were going to move out, and then we it didn't end up we go. Then we saw how expensive Laguna Beach was.
And that was back then.
That was back then. But we had a couple weeks off, and we're like, oh, this is where we're gonna go. And I heard people say that I won tickets or something like that. But I mean, a buddy of mine bought a car. He got 2 tickets anywhere, kind of the United States, and we flew out here. But another friend of mine that went to truck driving school out here said, "Hey, you should go to Phoenix. It's beautiful in the winter, and it's cheap to cheap to live.
Lot cheaper
it's,
than L.A.
And it was January, and we looked at the weather, whatever, and it was 65 degrees and sunny, and we came out, and
What year was this?
It was 85.
85. Okay.
And I went back, and I stayed.
Yeah.
I went back. I mean, I came, and my buddy went back, and I went back with him. And after that, I got my car and just.
So that was 85, you said?
Yeah.
So, but what? By 88, you had your restaurant already.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't waste too much time.
No, I came and I started right away. I was selling mozzarella out of my apartment. I was selling to Avanti. Remember Avanti
Yeah.
back in the day? And
Yep.
Pronto, the
Yeah.
other one, remember him?
Yeah, remember that.
And
So you were making the mozzarella in your apartment?
yeah, mozzarella, and I would go to, I make it in my apartment, but I also would do these little parties. Like I'd have a little pasta machine, or I'd make pizza at people's houses, and there was a French guy named Guy Koskas. That owned the French Corner. There was him and John Laurent Andriani.
Yeah.
And they were at one of these parties one night. Very long story short, there was a wood burning oven at this house, and I was doing pizza, and normally I would just do like pizza taglio or just in the oven, or
Yep.
like the party was like I'd show up my little pasta maker, and it was like if you were really bored or you hated who you were with, you stay in the kitchen with the idiot rolling out pasta, and then I would do a little simple pasta and little antipasti and things, and that was the party. But this particular time, Guy, who's very kind to me, he said, "Hey, I have a place. I won't do the French accent. I'll do it." But he bought a shopping center, the Euro Market at Uptown Plaza,
Yep.
which is now AJ's.
Yep.
And
I remember those days.
He said, I'll give you. I have a corner of the store which I sell orange juice. I'll give you the space. I'll take a little small piece, and you can be in business for yourself.
Yeah.
And I raised $7,000, and I bought an oven which I still have in my backyard back at the pizzeria downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is a checkered past of history. But
it's funny how you hold on to those little things like that old pizza oven. Because I got my first conference table as my old dining table, and I still use it because it kind of it grounds you. You know,
it does. I mean, especially things that again, that tactile thing of.
Yep.
We're leaning on the table right now, but something you've leaned on or
yep.
slammed your fist on, or in my case with the oven there's something very hypnotic about fire to begin with.
Sure.
And, from the cavemen on in prehistoric times. But staring at that fire and staring through that hole and kind of and hoping for things to be better or just to survive and be business for a year. And, a lot of that time I stare the same way in the oven today.
It just kind of puts you in a trance, doesn't it?
It does. I mean,
yep.
The world can be
crazy
as it is, and sometimes that can just calm us down a little bit.
That's why I love cooking. The same reason. It's like it takes my mind completely off everything else. I lose track of time.
Yeah, it demands your attention for sure.
Yep.
It will not be. We talk about that. Sometimes the word masters and things like that, and. The thing about cooking for me, there's no master. It's completely equal.
Yep.
The cooking medium, the ingredient, and the chef.
Yep.
You're at best you're a musician, but if still you need if whether you wrote the song, they're your notes or it's a big stadium, the the sound system, the acoustics.
Yeah. Well, think about me. I draw the plan. I got to have the brick mason. I got to have the framer. I mean, it's all got to come together.
Totally. I mean, the engineering.
To make my pizza.
Right. And, like the materials used or the guys that got a good deal on the beams and they're warped.
Yep.
And then they call you and then
you
end up in the people's court.
If it's mushroom, just, take those mushrooms out and put some better mushrooms on.
Yeah.
But to replace a beam takes a while.
Takes a little while.
So Pizzeria Bianco was your first gig, right?
Well, Pizzeria Bianco was my first gig.
Yeah.
And my last gig. We had a sit-down restaurant here in '94. Going from there, which was here in Town and Country.
Right.
It was where it was knocked down. I got the space in '95 downtown, and we opened up in '96. They knocked down the space where I was, and that's where today Whole Foods is there. And they're definitely making more money with Whole Foods than the pizzeria.
So then you had a couple good call-outs in your career. I know Oprah in 2006 named you the best pizza in America. That had to be pretty cool.
That was
how did that whole thing happen?
That was just a contest for people, her listeners and people around, and
they vote.
They vote, and then she had Gal King come around and taste a bunch of different pizzas and stuff. But that for me, it was nothing. I mean, I'm very grateful, but I didn't take too much. I mean, not that I'm very grateful.
Well, then I also enjoyed in 2017 when you were on Jimmy Kimmel's show with Billy Crystal. Yeah. I remember watching that one live. That was hilarious.
Billy's a good man. Yeah, Jimmy too. Jimmy's the best. He's my good pal.
That was a lot of fun watching
that. A lot of good times. Yeah.
Yep. So it's almost been a year since we went into the COVID lockdown. I've been watching you on Instagram through the whole COVID thing. I mean, it's been insane, hasn't it? I know you've got your opinions on this.
I have my opinions on a lot of things, but on this one, this wasn't in the handbook.
Disaster relief insurance. I mean, how good was that?
Well, insurance is terrible because they didn't get. They have. You
had to pay the premium every month, though.
Well,
right?
you pay the premium, but there's no. After 2003, post-SARS epidemic, it was voted that. I'm sympathetic to insurance companies. I don't want them to pay for the whole thing, but zero seems like a little unreasonable.
Tough.
Yeah. But that's business interruption insurance.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And my question was, what could be more interruptive than a pandemic? I didn't. To be honest, it's embarrassing, but I don't know if I knew the word pandemic. I knew epidemic.
Right.
I don't know if and I know it now for sure. But it does make you think about the things that, money spent in the walls we build and and then someone could just kind of, pee in the pool and, when the whole world's sick,
Yep.
What's the next?
It's crazy. I mean, this isn't the end of it.
No,
there's going to be something else.
No, I mean, that's a scary thing. I mean, it used to be, the bombs and whatever, and obviously those too, but but just the kind of
Well, you realize how fragile.
medieval kind of,
medieval in a high tech way.
yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
just it's a crazy time. We lost my
Yep.
mother-in-law to COVID in August,
I'm sorry about that.
and she was 65. She was a cancer survivor, but obviously, definitely vulnerable. She stayed in, and but anyway, I mean, there's just so many people have been affected by this
Yeah.
thing. I mean, in every way. I mean, mentally, monetarily, emotionally, whatever. I mean,
Well, and then it was start and stop, combine.
yeah, no,
you can't do this.
I'm
you
telling
can't
you,
do
man, I
that.
don't want to whatever, but
that was nuts.
this is crazy. I mean, like in our business, like you're open, you're closed. It's like a
Yeah.
bad, I forgot that game. You start and stop, but it's like a
Well,
nightmare.
then I realized you got to buy stuff to start, and then if all of a sudden they shut you down, what do you do with all the stuff you just bought?
Well, you throw it out, or you give it to you give it away. And it's to open up and to reopen, I mean,
Right.
to restock a full restaurant.
Yeah, and your staff.
And your liquor and your and your staff and bringing them back and
Yep.
and
And their lives don't just sit still.
No, and then you're only 50% if you're lucky, and the waiters that depend on gratuities or have half full dining rooms, and people are. I mean, their money's tight as well. It's all
Yep.
a slippery slope of,
Yep.
of bad dreams. So I mean, at this point, you just you do your best to I always say when we learn to ask the right questions or better questions, we'll get better answers.
Right.
And I know I need to ask better questions.
we
what
all
we're
need to
prepared
ask better
for.
questions,
What we're
exactly.
prepared for. And,
So has the Government CARES Act been helpful? I mean, is it helping? Are you?
well, we're not really. It hasn't really doled out yet. I mean,
Huh.
but it's definitely there'll be some relief there. There'll be
Yeah.
some help, but
Still
no one's
hard to
gonna be
plan,
no one's
though,
made
isn't it?
even close to whole. I mean, and it's hard to catch up
Yep.
on any of this stuff.
Is it hard to get supplies right now?
It's hard to get people. Workforce is the big,
Yeah.
which was a nightmare before. And the other thing about the restaurant business, which is, if we're having really honest conversations, of course, which we are.
yeah.
The last 8-10 years, going from, the workforce has been dwindling horribly.
Yeah. Where do you find them?
And you don't. I mean, you just hope and
Yeah.
pray that you can do, and you pay as much as you can, and it's just we're an industry that, like I said, that needed. It's never good. I don't want to be gloom and doom, but it'll never be the same. I don't know some of those things that's not a good thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Some of those things, we need to really talk about and understand what things cost.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm always amazed at how much something does cost.
Well, here's the thing. Great restaurants don't make much money at all.
Right.
If you're bad at restaurants selling crap for too much money,
it's really bad.
Then
Yeah.
maybe you stockpile enough cash that you can, retire. But, if you want to, support your local farmers, buy organically, pay your people well.
Which is one of the things I love about you is how much you do support local farmers, farm to table. It's seasonal. Your menu is like when Tratto, I always loved it. It was like 7 things, and you combine it with your different plates, and that's all you need.
But I think those things seem the most complex to me. I know that that I remember there's a great scene in the movie Amadeus about Mozart and
Too many notes.
Yeah, too many notes, right?
Oh, I know that one real
well.
well.
I mean, that's just I get. I mean,
Well, I look at
it was
some
a
of these-
comedic scene, and obviously for Mozart, that's not a great example.
Yeah, but I look at some of
But-
these menus at some of these restaurants. It's like
Well,
5,000 things on the
you
menu.
know,
how
how
can
can-
how
like
can
I
you do
said,
that?
I have 3 kids, and if I had one more, I'd be, I don't know what would happen. But and that's just my family anyway.
So what's been the keys to your success? Would you say?
The jury's out. I don't know. You tell me. I can tell you. I would say what I want to be, but only other people tell us who we are. So
Yeah.
my success is yet to be told. To be honest with
Yeah.
you,
A lot of times I tell people it's just showing up every day, showing up and get the work done.
I just don't buy it. Like the success part. Like until the arc of when we take our last breath, we can
Yeah.
think about it.
The game's
know,
still going.
You're a great actor. You did great movies. All of a sudden, you took 3 bad scripts,
Yeah.
and
You're
people
done.
remember the
That's
the
all
worst
they
of your
remember.
life.
Yeah, exactly.
And for us it's the same, and maybe
Yeah.
that's the way it should be, and that's why it keeps me fearful, and I think that's not a bad thing. And
That's so funny. And I say that all the time, too. I still have the same amount of fear at 60 that I did when I was 20 starting this career. It's just different.
It's a
but-
different type.
but
yeah,
you
it's a
still have the
different
fear,
type. It's
don't
a
you?
different type of fear.
Yeah.
Now I would say I feared a little bit less then.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, only because
Well, you don't sweat the small stuff
only
anymore.
because I had nothing to lose
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
and it was just me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my kids and my wife.
Right. There's a
My,
little more pressure.
we had 100 employees, whatever. I have families that depend
Yeah.
on my stupidity and not
It's
being
scary.
stupid. And all those factors. And then, how do we grow? Like internally as much as externally. Like how do
Right.
we, does our team elevate? And that's how opening other restaurants.
Well, that was one of my questions to you. It's like, what keeps you inspired? How do you find new ideas, and how do you do it? How do you go about doing that?
Well, the new ideas are usually out of, whether it's whatever the motivation was to move, to build a pyramid, or to do as many pieces as you can,
Yeah.
without and understand the tipping point of quality.
Right. So you're experimenting. You're always trying.
Yeah,
something different.
I'm experimenting now. I mean, with
Yep.
with what we're doing, as far as this dough fermentation, a grain varietal, and it's something that the customer might not care about or notice, and it's something I don't really like on the menu. I don't really put this long explanation of, I'd rather, if you care about it and you want to talk about it, we'll get
Yeah.
into it, and I'm happy to do that.
Oh,
And
love it.
I don't want to say I guarantee, but I would say I'd feel very comfortable about the story you find would be better than the one that I told.
Yeah, there you go.
So you say, oh, that's Parmigiano Reggiano, the only one you use? Yeah. Oh, you only use extra virgin olive oil? Yes. You only we use these organic tomatoes? Yes. Or will you buy Dave from 2 House Ranch Chicken? Yes. So the questions, that I think when you dig in,
Mm-hmm.
when you I would say turn the label around, the cereal box around. It's like my tomato
Yeah,
business. When you pick up something, like some people don't want you to look behind the curtain. For us, it serves us well.
Yeah, for sure.
For you, just like, that house, I saw a house. Mark, I saw a house, 4,000 square feet for half the price. You say, well, it's made of balsa wood.
Yeah,
And
you get the stone from Italy and the
Yeah, whatever. I mean, so diving through,
yeah, it's the same thing.
not too many things are created equally.
Yeah, so I'm craving those chicken livers that you do with
they're there.
with the jelly or with the jam.
We
or,
do with like a little conserva or
it's so
jam or
That's
fig
one of my
jam
favorite
or
things. It's a sweet and
house
savory
jam.
combo. So one thing that I've noticed in living here, I've lived here almost 40 years now, the quality of restaurants in this city has improved.
There's no doubt.
Like
No doubt.
tremendously, hasn't
100%.
it? Don't you see
Great
customers
restaurants.
are much more
1,000%.
informed and they've traveled?
They
and-
are, and I think that Phoenix is a place that it's my home, and I become very defensive of it when I travel.
Yeah.
When I first moved here, there wasn't an MLK Day. There was certain things that might have been somewhat behind the times, and certain things that people saw us as, we didn't have great restaurants, or we didn't have these things. We didn't have a football team.
Yeah,
we didn't have a
there was
baseball
no-
team.
I mean,
things
when
that
you opened Pizzeria Bianco, there was nothing downtown. There was very little.
there was nothing downtown. Well, they were just
You were one of the first things that
they
got
had
people
they were
going
just
down there.
they were just starting to build the stadium. Jerry just got that.
Yep.
And they just broke ground on
Yep.
it. But
I see.
I have a picture with a picture before they built anything in front of no parking, whatever.
Yep.
That I could just see. There was like I had a big garden, and it looked like the Field of Dreams, because behind that, then I kept taking pictures, and you started seeing Crane going up and
That's
Canal
pretty cool.
Stadium and other stuff. But that little juxtaposition, I still enjoy that little building from 1927,
That's
the bar.
awesome.
This from 1909 that somehow survived
Yep.
urban sprawl. But I also like urban sprawl. I like to save the good things and let's knock down the bad ones.
Yeah. Well, I always say it's the restaurants that make new neighborhoods great. It's like if I see a good
Yeah.
restaurant move into a certain area, I say, okay, that area's going to pop.
Yeah.
Start buying real estate around that.
You know,
that
I
area.
don't disagree with that.
Yep.
Well, hopefully that'll happen on Van Buren. We'll see.
I never know.
We'll see.
I
We'll
was
see.
amazed. I mean, I always say that the two people who built downtown was Chris Bianco and Jerry Colangelo.
Well, that's pretty good company right
That's
there.
pretty good company,
That's,
right?
yeah. And,
Okay, so real quick, I know you got to run, and I really appreciate making
No
the time.
problem.
I got to get you to sign your book for me
Yeah.
before we leave.
100%.
Got a nice slice of pizza here I got to eat still. So,
You got it.
So, what are some of your favorite cooking shows? Do you watch cooking shows?
You know what? I got my favorite cooking shows on right now. I don't know if it's a cooking show, but I think Stanley Tucci's a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Actually,
I was just watching him with Eric Rippert the other day.
His wife is my book agent, actually. Felicity Bunt, who's awesome. And
he's interesting.
He's an amazing guy and
Yeah.
has an amazing show and is amazing.
I just discovered this last week.
Period. And last night they had they were in Sicily and it was just amazing, beautiful and inspiring. And and it's a lot like Bourdain's show and travel, but the focus being on Italy for me, personally being a little
So what's
bit of a
your
homer
favorite
there.
spot in Italy?
I mean, it's like puppies; they're all beautiful. But my family's from my father's side's from Puglia,
Oh yeah,
and in Foggia, in
that's one of my hot
a little,
spots.
a little, a tiny little village called Community Panne, and in the middle of nowhere. It's just, but one of my great thrills was going back to the house where from like 4 generations.
That's cool.
And that were there in China. I have a cousin that's an architect in Foggia in the city, and that house, I think we can get it pretty cheap, but you have to spend all the money to rebuild it. It's a little stone little hut. And,
I love going.
but there was a
to those
door
places.
for sheep. There was a door. Matter of fact, I have. I don't know if I have one here, but I have. My dad did a painting of it. It's at my house. But I'll show you one day. But
That's
anyway,
awesome.
it's. But Puglia is great. I mean, anywhere you go, I think has something special.
Yeah.
I think Rome is still magical. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, even all its chaos. Growing
Yeah,
up
and
in
I
New
love the
York,
neighborhood you mentioned.
Just Everett,
Yeah, I love going over
it's
there.
Great.
That's awesome. Off the beaten path a little bit, more locals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great spot. So, how do you take care of Chris? What do you do to get away from it all? Do you go cook? What do you do?
You know what? My family is my whole life. You know,
Yeah.
my kids, my wife,
You have a
my
beautiful
wife
family, by the way.
They're amazing. They're,
Yep.
amazing is the best word I find. I just use it 5 times.
I
but-
do. I use it all the time.
But my wife saved me from myself. You know, a lot of she kind of not afraid to tell me that I'm being ridiculous, which I appreciate.
We're both lucky to have wonderful wives.
Yes, indeed.
That's for
my
sure.
kids,
How old are your kids?
7, 5, and 3.
Oh yeah, you got the fun years still. Get ready.
Yeah, you know
You
what?
Still got all
you know
that,
what? No.
You still got all that damn hair on your
But
head.
here's
Look
the,
at me, buddy.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about kids. Like, there's a lot that you're gonna have to figure out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like my parents gave me a lot of things, but I realized that the world, for better for worse, is gonna raise our kids.
Yeah.
And all we can do, I think, as parents, is give them this foundation. Speaking of foundations, and know that they're loved. And other than that, there's going to be difficult decisions that they're going to have to make. And
They're all different, aren't they? All three.
They are, and I think that, and they're all really unique even already.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I'm excited to see. We leave instruments around the house. He picks one up. Both my grandparents play
You
guitar.
play any instruments?
I have them. I can, if I was drunk, not that I get drunk, but I pretend I can play guitar, but I can't. No, I don't really play anything. I love music. It's a great love of mine.
Yeah, I play the
and
piano.
I think it's.
I love the
Do you?
piano.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Nina just started. We have a little piano in the room, and she's starting to take lessons, and I think that's just so as you get older, things that if no one was around,
Yeah. It's just none of the things like when you cook, it takes your mind off everything.
Like even
Does the
if none
same
of them
thing.
go into this crazy business, I mean, I'd love it if they did. I'd love it if they didn't. Whatever they
Yep.
want to do, but I at least want them to provide I don't want to be the mercy of fast food.
Yeah.
Like be able to scramble an egg,
Yeah.
be able to and recognize a good egg,
Yep.
and also roasted chicken,
Yep.
make a bowl of pasta.
Once you learn it and see how easy it is and how much better it is.
Well, I think I'll tell you
It's
one
just like,
secret.
oh
I'll tell you,
my
it's not a
God.
secret, but I think if you if you learn to like, I think a scrambled egg, and it starts with breakfast sometimes, but a scrambled egg and a pancake
Uh-huh.
or crepe even is
Yeah.
an incredible teacher. They're very simple,
Uh-huh.
but they
To do them right, though.
but to do them right, and they also demand like uh, a certain attentiveness
Yeah.
that
You got to stay focused.
that starts the process of.
It's meditative.
If I do that, like if you did that same thing with a steak, it'll relate.
Yeah.
If you do that thing with everything will be relatable about what pan do I use,
Right.
how much heat, do I use fat, if how much,
What kind of fat?
yeah, and how much, and how high, and then you start in your little mind. You remember when something turned out good and something
Yep.
turned out
No, that's totally true.
not too damn good.
So what are some of the goals and dreams going forward for Chris Bianco?
My goal and dreams, I want to be respected by my peers, and
You've done that.
and loved by my family and my friends.
Yep.
I want them to know that they're loved
Yep.
and respected, and that I also want to be of use of as we get older. I think that a lot of like culturally, like we're speaking of Italy. Like one thing that I remember, maybe not the first trip, but definitely the second or third or the other times, since one of my great memories or visions is like you see the 85-year-old guy with one beautiful suit,
Yep.
with a tie, having an espresso, dressed in the park, talking to a friend of his about the day, taking a nice passeggiata
time.
and just, like just being respectful. They shaved and they put cologne on,
Yeah.
and even if no one can smell it, they can give a shit. Maybe they got two suits, and one's for funerals and
Yep.
one's for going to the park on Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I talk about that all the time. I do my
there's
Italy
just-
tour,
yeah.
and I tell my Americans, look, we're going to Italy, okay? No wife beater T-shirts, no tennis shoes. We're going to we're going to look nice. We're going to dress nice. We're going to smell nice.
I need to take more of that, and I hope as I get older that I become, I use this analogy too much, but being a chef is a lot like being a baseball player, football player. There's a time that, it's the physicality of it is a young person's game.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's high pressure. You need great eyesight, hand coordination. And as we get older,
Endurance.
all these things. And
Yep.
as we get older, it's difficult to understand our place in anything
Yeah.
and how we can.
It's your wisdom. It's your knowledge.
Mentor and
Yep.
use our experience, but also be soundboards
Yep.
and listen and learn. And it's interesting, I think, it's hard, I think, when you're a kid to look at somebody from the neighborhood and then see pictures from them in World War II.
Yeah.
As a young kid,
Yeah.
coming back from war and, tan and, without their hair or whatever. And, and now they're
Well, it's interesting to
hopping
wonder
around.
what they'll say about us 30, 40, 50 years ago. Wow, they went through that 2019, 2020 pandemic, and
Yeah.
they got through it. They were tough people back then, those people back in the 2019s,
Yeah,
2020s.
I think talking to older people in my life and my career has been incredibly helpful because it's
Puts it in perspective.
to know that like we think our problems are so singular,
Yeah.
like we all love, we lost, we win sometimes, we struggle, and
It's life.
and the things that there's no price, no matter how much money you have, no how many square feet your house, no matter anything, without the foundation, again, that word of understanding what you need.
Yeah.
And I think with my kids now, like I hope I can help them answer the questions that are important to them
Yeah.
about not just what they want to be when they grow up, but like what they want to be like today.
Right.
If that's the only day that we have,
That's
like
right.
the future is always presumptuous.
Yep.
So I don't want to waste any time, on on anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Time
and,
is an interesting thing, isn't it?
It
As you
is.
get older.
It is, and I think we adjust. I mean, to make these things when I'm this age, or
Yep.
I would have took better care of myself. I know I'd lived this long or something like that. and assuming if we can assume that we will, and even
Yeah.
if we're not
You don't
blessed
know.
to do so, that we've exhausted the day
Right.
of things that we didn't regret.
Yep.
Whether it's calling somebody we haven't talked to in a while, I'll call
Yep.
them later, and then maybe.
Well, I appreciate
years
this
go
today.
by.
This is awesome to
well,
have 45 minutes of time with you.
Well,
and
cool, man.
So I have
Well,
one final question.
Okay, let's do it.
If I have you over for dinner, does anyone ever have you over for dinner?
They do, and I'm always grateful to them. If they make toast, I'm happy.
Okay, sure.
As long as I
Put
have
no
to clean
pressure
up.
on me, okay?
No, this is
Okay, so if I have you
I
over
think
for
chefs
dinner,
are the easiest to please.
okay, what am I making you?
You know what? Here's the thing. If you're cooking for me, it's like anything else. I'm always like, people ask me sometimes like a question like that, and I want to know what they like.
Okay.
Like for me, is make me something that you love.
Okay, so I can make you one of my favorite dishes.
That's all that matters.
All right.
You know,
No,
and they think
that's good.
making me something I like, or getting a recipe that you learned for this thing. That
Yep.
Nobody wants that. And I think those are the things that as we get older, we realize that, especially now, we hear that word last, 20 years or so, comfort food.
Right.
Well, this year we learned the appropriation of comfort
Yeah.
and why.
Exactly.
And really you realize that the comfort was the time and the place.
Right. There will be
and
memories associated with this.
There's no doubt.
You
There's
watch.
people that have it.
And I bet you food will have a big part. A lot of
And
people
it
discover
brought-
cooking.
And it brought a lot of people in the kitchen.
Yep.
Not great for restaurants, but no, just kidding. I'm happy. I hope everybody's cooking in the kitchen. And I think, I'll tell you one, I'm going to give you one more minute. But,
Yep.
And this in architecture, I think observation. And I look, and I love I think every generation has greatness, or architecturally or food, whatever. But I think when you look at a lot of mid-century stuff, and which I love too, I have a lot of eclectic
Yep.
things in my house, but I look at some of from late 50s and early 60s, you watch dining tables get so thin,
Yeah.
and the legs get so thin,
Yeah.
and people really never sat at them anymore. And then TV dinners came out, and then TV trays came out, and that disconnect. And now we see farm tables come back, and the weight of platters
Stone
and these things that people have craved
Yeah.
because they wanted to hear
Yeah.
that
They want a
sound.
connection.
They wanted to hear something like the spoon when it hits, in the
Oh,
espresso
yeah.
if you have
One of
sugar.
my favorite things when I go to Italy is the sound walking down the street of the plates clanking and the silverware.
Just anything. And I think, understanding, I think there was, generationally,
Yep.
there's deprivation, whatever it is, aromatherapy or, sounds and sights and smell, everything.
Oh, yeah.
that-
The
that
whole
kind of-
experience.
that make us feel like home. So I
Yep.
think, so get a heavy table, get a big farm table, get heavy platters, and eat with people you love.
There you go, baby.
That's the secret to
Well,
it.
I'll have you over for paella. How does that sound?
I love it, man. Love it. What's
Sound
not to
good?
love?
Yep.
All right, beautiful.
Awesome. So we find you on Instagram, right? Pizzeria Bianco, is that what?
Yeah, if you're looking, it's on there.
Yeah, check him out. He's got great videos. You're on there all the time, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
You're always telling us the thoughts of the day, and it's just
For
fun
better or for worse, I am. man.
I
For better or
love
for
it.
worse.
I love it. Thank you, my
Thank
friend.
you, brother. Thanks for
All
the
right.
time.
Ciao.
Good to talk to you. Ciao.
Thank you so much, Chef Bianco. It was such a pleasure to spend some time with you, and thanks for the goodie bag to go, by the way. That was some yummy stuff in there. Isabel and I will see you soon at Tratto and Pizzeria Bianco for sure. We have more great podcasts coming to you in the weeks ahead, so stay tuned, and thank you for continued listening. Couple quick announcements. Check out our feature in the new issue of Phoenix Home and Garden magazine, showcasing a beautiful home makeover that we did with Isabel and her team at Earth and Images. We also have a Candelaria Design Argue Custom Homes project that was beautifully landscaped by Refined Gardens that will be featured on the Phoenix Home and Garden magazine Garden Tour on April 17th. Go to the website for tickets right now. And with that said, our podcast guest next week will be editor John Rourke, along with my wife Isabel. And so that should be a lot of fun. I think we'll be recording that from Oregon. We're going to do a dry run on our Oregon McMinnville Pinot tour. So we're going to be in the beautiful countryside of Oregon. And it probably won't be that much of a dry run. It looks like there's a lot of rain in the forecast. So it might be perfect weather for drinking lots of good Pinot Noir wines from Oregon. Our podcast keeps growing nicely. Thank you for the ratings and reviews. We are going to start our contest again for those that give us ratings and reviews. How about this? Those that give us a rating and review between now and July 1st will get their name in a drawing for one of our Candelaria design tours, maybe the Rancho Pino tour that I just spoke about. We will cover their round-trip airfare for the tour. Can't beat that, so go give us a rating and review right now. Give us a subscribe. And then email or direct message me that you did, and we will get your name in the hopper for this drawing. Okay, we do our best to inspire living in everything we do, from our podcast to our cooking classes to our tours, and of course, with our Candelaria Design homes. Okay, have a great week, everyone. Stay safe, and let's all live our lives with love, compassion, grace, and positivity. Happy Easter, and we will see you next week. Because Inspiring Living is all about the people and the organizations that inspire us, we are excited to have Monogram Appliances as one of our sponsors. Anytime we do a new kitchen or a kitchen remodel, Monogram Appliances are what we recommend to our client. Their appliances are the definition of luxury, meticulously detailed using the finest materials and an ownership experience that is second to none. This is how Monogram is always thinking ahead and inspiring and elevating the kitchen experience. Because at Monogram, they don't just elevate one thing, they elevate everything. I want to say a big thank you to my good friends at Stockett Tile and Granite Company, where your project is our priority. I want to thank the Stockett team along with so many others who contributed to the success of our fabulous demonstration kitchen in our new Candelaria Design office expansion. You will have to check out our online video cooking classes, and our kitchen is amazing. I've had the pleasure of working with the Stockett team for nearly 40 years on many spectacular projects, and trust me, they are the epitome of excellence when it comes to tile, marble, and granite work, bar none. Their skill and customer service is impeccable, and the bottom line is they are just good people. I have traveled with, dined with, and just had good times, both personally and professionally, with Dave Stockett and his lovely wife, Becky, and they are the best. When it comes to your next tile and stone project, make sure Stockett Tile and Granite is a part of your team. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.